Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Digital Lunch and Learn on the Chris and Carrie Show. Oh, I'm going to have to trim that off. I'm going to trim it in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Digital Lunch and Learn on the Chris and Carrie Show. And this week's topic is going to be content syndication in the digital marketing age. And we're going to do this via IFTTT, which is a program out there, and it stands for If This, Then That. As usual, on the show with me today is Carrie Duke. And Carrie, how you doing today?
Awesome, Chris. I think that this topic is one of the secrets of our success, how we can get so much done with very little effort.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you'll hear us as we go through this, a lot of internet marketing and the way that you want to get yourself out there and, in basically everywhere that your customers are is working smarter, not harder. And techniques like we're about to discuss right now is pretty much the best way to get out there and do that. It pretty much automates probably about 20 or 30 different tasks or, posting tasks and that sort of stuff. And it's a real time saver. So on that note, Carrie, why don't you go ahead and kind of jump in and give a broad overview of what IFTTT is and what you can accomplish with it.
Great. Well, let's go back to the last episode number 3. And what we discussed was you need to create a branded ring around your website. And this branded ring is all about your business. It's got your name, address, phone number, the URL. It's got your brand in it and all that kind of thing. Well, it's all good to have that out there. But the real power of having that comes in the fact that when you actually use the content for your website to be syndicated out there on all these other sites, now you're creating real power. And that's what this program does. It's If This, Then That, IFTTT.com, I believe is the address. And what we do is we create these recipes where we hook up each of these properties so that when we create a video on YouTube and upload it there, or if we create a blog post on our website, then it automatically gets distributed to all of these other sites. Now we're sending social signals to Google. Now we're sending the fact that our content is being seen everywhere. And so we get a lot more juice from the tasks that we would ordinarily do, like, creating a video and uploading it, but we get it posted now or embedded in a whole bunch of other sites. And that's what really propels our websites to the top. So from a 5,000 foot level, that's what we're doing. We're taking our efforts of creating content, and then we're getting it distributed and published in a whole bunch of other sites, but we only push the button once.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you think back to, we'll say 5-6 years ago, like the old way of doing it would have been maybe you had your assistant, or maybe you sat down one night, you wrote an article about the importance of servicing of a periodic maintenance service on your AC unit. What would have typically happened is you would write up the article, then you'd post it on your blog or your website, and there it would sit. And if you wanted to put it on any of these other kind of satellite sites, all these Web 2.0s that we'd spoken about last week, then you have to go to each separate one and repost it, and optimize it on each one of these. Which, as you can imagine, it may only take 5 or 10 minutes to sit there and post it, but you multiply that across 20 different properties, and you're looking at a pretty substantial amount of time.
I'm way too lazy. I'm sorry. I'm way too lazy for that.
Yeah, me too. And chances are most business owners are, because you're more busy. You should be more busy working in your business, not on your business. You're going to be out there doing a lot of the face-to-face sales, or maybe even out there doing a lot of the maintenance yourselves. You don't have time, and you probably, after a long day, don't want to come home and start posting to a bunch of different Web 2.0 properties, because it may or may not help you if you do it right. And that's
yes. But if you're already creating that content, if you're already doing those videos, which I know so many of these HVAC contractors are doing, but they upload it to YouTube and they're done. It's like, wait, guys, you're missing a fantastic opportunity to get much more mileage out of the content you're already creating? What if you uploaded to YouTube and then it automatically went and posted itself on your blog? What if it actually went then to a tweet? What if it went to, you know, your Blogger account, or, you know, half a dozen of other things?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the power, is that you're already doing half of it, but you're missing the step that actually gets you, you know, potential prospects finding your information.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a screwdriver, using it once and throwing it away, and then not using it on your next project. You know, it's why reinvent the wheel each time. You know, you're going to use it over and over and over. Why not use, you know, your video or your content over and over and over across multiple platforms? So it's, as you'll see in some of our courses and some of our other videos and stuff that we share, not only here but in some of our coaching groups, it will basically illustrate. It will actually show you how we actually set up some of these accounts and actually what happens once they trigger. IFTTT is one of those things where once you dump your content into your first trigger site, it comes through every 15 minutes and hits the trigger site to see if there's any new content. And if it is, it basically pulls that out and launches it out to the other ones. It will actually give you like over the shoulder, so you'll actually see the screen share and get a better idea of how it's done. And that's we don't have any of that publicly available right now, but we're looking to maybe shoot some short versions here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Yeah, the whole idea is that you want to automate your content distribution as much as possible. And, you know, the pain in the ass of doing digital marketing is content.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we have to figure out a way that not only for us as SEO and search engine optimization experts, but as consultants for our clients, we have to figure out ways of getting a ton of work done in a minimal amount of time so that we can go on to other projects. And so this is one of those tools that even as a business owner, what you want to do is you want to spend as little time as possible, but getting the maximum impact every single time you do something. And so the first 3 lessons that we recorded here are all about setting up the foundation so that you can do as little work as possible to get your message out, to get your branding out, to get your marketing out. And that's what we're doing here. So when we start talking about, you know, using the IFTTT rings, we're talking about recipes. And these recipes, you basically will show you how to do this. But it's one of those things where once you see how it's done, you go like, oh man, this is genius. You know, you just hook it up and you give it a little bit of language and you're done. Now, for as long as if this then that works, which has been many years, every time you post something, it's going to get syndicated and you're going to get all the Google love from that syndication.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. The beauty of it is, if to go back to the previous ones about the branding, high domain authority, page authority websites, is a lot of these sites are actually included in there. So you're actually going to be able to post in one area, like say a YouTube video, and you have that synced up to a bunch of WordPress.coms, Tumblrs, Wheelies, all these other kind of Web 2.0s. And as soon as you upload that nice piece of content onto YouTube, then it goes out and it hits all these other directories or all these other Web 2.0s, and those give you the backlinks back to your site, which then raises the domain authority and shoots your site up. And exactly. The thing is, a lot of these sites will actually rank as well, so then you're going to knock off some of your competition for a lot of those keyword terms. So you actually get more digital real estate, so to speak. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I did an audio interview that we're going to make available shortly with an HVAC contractor in South Florida, and he mentioned the fact that you know, if you know how to do these things correctly, you can get 10 things on the page all about you. And I it's like, I know that he doesn't know anything about if this then that. I know he's doing everything manually. You know, it's like, but he's still accomplishing the same goal. But guys, wouldn't you like to have that where you know, you have control of your entire reputation? When somebody Googles your name, you've got all the information about you that you want them to see, not what somebody else has said.
It's powerful once you get it, once you get the system set up, and it's it's one of those things. It's like anything, you have to front load a lot of the effort, but once you get the foundation set, you kind of become untouchable, because I'm guarantee you 95% of your competition out there, they're probably not even going to do this. They're going to look at it and go, that's too much effort. Or
not only that,
screw it up.
The big companies in your marketplace typically are not doing this either.
No, they aren't. They're paying some SEO company, and they don't even know what the heck they're getting, which that leads us into next week's topic, which is going to be marketing, looking at your marketing ROI and how to determine if you're getting the return that you're expecting, money in, money out,
Yep. And how to determine, is something really expensive from a marketing standpoint or not? It's kind of like in math, where you have to find a common denominator so you can actually judge whether these things are equal. And we're going to show you how to do that so that you can get that common denominator, and then you'll be able to judge all of your marketing based on an equal ROI.
Yeah, marketing is, there's a phrase, and I used to say it years ago, and it used to be on my website, but it's like marketing is not an expense, it's an investment. Because at the end of the day, you can look, marketing is kind of a math problem. And once you figure out the math and you get it right to work in your favor, it turns into the ATM that you put $1 in and get $5 out. And that's how I kind of put it to my clients, after we get the beast or the machine set up. I have several clients like, holy mackerel, I did not realize, before they were trying to do it on their own. And then when they see how it's, how it can actually work when it's set up properly, they're like, wow, that's night and day. Like, I thought I was close and I wasn't even close. So it's these actually, with this video too, these 4 videos, you basically have the keys of the kingdom if you want to go out and do it yourself. It's not that hard to figure out. But yeah, it's crazy powerful, because nobody else out there is doing it right.
Yep. And that goes back to, all of the folks that are actually trying to use Twitter and Facebook. And it's like, let's talk a little bit about content, because if you're going to use the if this then that, you need to have something worthwhile to share, right? Mm-hmm. So what type of content is actually decent for sharing? Well, I'll guarantee you that when you go through Facebook or Twitter and all you see are posts about you have a special or you have a sale or we have an opening, or it's all about me, and that doesn't lend itself to a conversation. It doesn't lend itself for you getting more prospects. It doesn't create any awareness. What it creates is a bunch of people that are numb to your message. They will absolutely ignore whatever you have to say. On the other hand, if the content you create has any interest, then it becomes shareable. Then it becomes something that people can have a conversation about. And it's like, I've had so many HVAC guys want to do, social media, quote unquote social media. And then we have to define, what do you mean by social media? How does that work in your head? It's like, well, we're going to get on Facebook and we're going to make posts about what? What are you going to make posts about? You're just going to advertise. You're going to use it as an advertising medium where everything is a special, and this week's special is, or we have a discount on. That should really only be about, I would say, maximum 20-30% of the content that you post.
Yeah.
The rest of it should be things of general interest to people in your community, or that are topically nationally. Mm-hmm. So that way you can get people's interest based on what's going on, and actually see them tied to the message that you're out there spreading, sharing, or distributing yourself. Yeah. So what kind of things would that be, Chris? That somebody might want to share.
There's all kinds of things. You could even go laterally and like maybe have a guest post from somebody. If you're in HVAC, maybe think of other home services that are kind of related to you, or that another homeowner might find interesting. Maybe it's about landscaping, maybe it's about plumbing if you're just strictly HVAC and not plumbing. Like just little tidbits and factoids. It comes back to the whole thing. Would you buy it? If you weren't, so close to your business, is it something that would interest you? And just, that's how your customers are going to be looking at it. It's what's in it for them.
Yes.
If everything is
WIIFM.
Yeah. If everything's $30 off, everything's discounted, when everything's special or when everything's on special or on discount, then it turns in. It quickly just gets ignored and it just becomes background noise. So you want to do interesting stuff. I mean, maybe you can even do contests. You could do contests, or you could have, contests where you can have like maybe what's the craziest thing you've ever found in your AC duct. And then for the most outrageous thing that you've seen in there, you'll get them maybe a $20 gift certificate to Longhorn or who the heck knows, whatever restaurants in your area. But you start getting kind of out there and thinking outside of the box, and there's all kinds of different ways to make your social media interesting.
Yes. Before and after shots are really good too.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there and you're going to clean a coil. Okay, here's the before shot. Here's the after shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And take that one step further. Maybe you can even get the client to show you the previous month's electricity bill and then the next month's electricity bill after a cleaning and show the efficiency savings.
These are the things that get people's interest.
Right. Because there's a saying that when the person can see themselves in the product, they're going to buy the product. And so step back from it and not just think about, again, it goes back to the what's in it for me.
Yeah. And if you're there and you have a good relationship with that client, why not just get your iPhone out and do a video testimonial?
Mm-hmm.
A real quick 30-second testimonial. You start stacking up these testimonials and putting them on your Facebook and your blog and everywhere else. Now it's not you saying how good you are. It's all these other people that are saying how good you are.
And that's a pretty ninja trick right there. And I actually do it with some of my clients where you can, when you have an IFTTT set up like this or your own little syndication network, it doesn't necessarily have to be IFTTT. There's other ways of doing it out there, but this is the way that we do it. But if you get, like you said, you get testimonials, or you can even take reviews that you have out there, maybe mash it up into like a slideshow video with all these people that have said great things about you. Then if that's plugged into your IFTTT network, you upload the video and boom, it automatically is out there in front of your following, your tribe. And along with the backlinks that are pointing back to your site. And then these are going to rank. So when somebody types in ABC cooling reviews, there's a video with your reviews from real people. Boom.
Right. And guess who also sees that?
Yeah.
And sees all the people talking good about you?
Mm-hmm.
Google.
Yep. And they love it.
Yeah. Google absolutely does use reviews to rank locally.
So there's a lot more to it. Like, so going back to what Carrie had said, where we've both encountered, contractors and business owners where they say, I'm going to do social media with absolutely no strategy in place. And that's the thing. I'm not sure if we spoke about this in one of the previous episodes, but it doesn't matter what business you're in. Business is about strategy and then the tools and tactics that you use to accomplish that strategy. And that's all Facebook, Twitter, all these social medias, Web 2.0s, all that stuff. Those are all different tools that are part of an overall strategy. So if you go in and just use one tool, you're probably not going to get the results that you wanted.
No, because you never know where your prospect is actually going to find you. Some people live on Twitter. Some people live on Facebook. Some people just like to, use Google.
Yep. That's the thing. Like sometimes there are some niches where social media doesn't work well for outreach or to try to get people coming in. So for the strategy, I just use social media as strictly a backlinking source to get good backlinks. And that's all it's there for.
That's typically how I suggest that people, in the contract field use social media, because at one level, you have to have a business or an enterprise that is actually conversational. And people don't generally have a conversation about the fact that they're paying more than they should on their electric bill or their gas bill, or the fact that their air conditioner broke down. They generally don't have a conversation about that in the same way that they have a conversation about what kind of food they're eating at this restaurant and taking photos of it, or having a political or religious conversation. I wouldn't advise having those two kind of conversations on your business, website. But you have, if you're going to play the Facebook and Twitter game, there is a way to do it, and that's with interesting content that is not about what your offer is. It's about general interest things, before and after pictures are always good. Testimonials are always good. Now, one secret that doesn't get shared very much is if you align yourself with some type of local charity.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that if it involves people or animals, you're probably going to be better off than if it does, if it's a disease or something like that, because you want it to be more positive than negative, in that, you're helping something that everybody thinks is a good thing, like a no-kill animal shelter or an adoption agency, or maybe a military program, supporting, veterans and things of that nature. So if you're already going to do those kind of things, then you can use that as an alignment. We support X, and then, you can talk about what happened, like use the content from that place that you're aligning yourself with as content for your own self. Just put a little comment with it.
Yep.
And so now you can piggyback on something that has social relevance, that creates good feelings, and then associate yourself with those good feelings.
Yep. And not for nothing, but from a lead generation standpoint, these animal shelters and all these civic or nonprofit places that you might be supporting, they need HVAC done too. So just saying, maybe you reach out to them and say, hey, I really liked your post. I shared it on my Facebook page. You get the conversation going. That's a good way to do a little bit of lead generation for yourself. No cost.
Yeah, you could do the same thing if you belong to a BNI group or a chamber of commerce or anything like that.
Yep. And like looking at, like you had mentioned, like BNI, and a lot of times we kind of alluded to it, is people, when they're talking about their business, a lot of times they're not doing the what's in it for me. They're always talking about themselves, like all these networking meetings. Every time you go there, it almost seems like the person's just waiting for you to stop talking so that they can start talking. So a lot of times, if you can sit there and kind of listen and kind of, listen, kind of provide value to them, I guess, give them benefits. And that's what your marketing wants to do. It wants to put you benefits, not features. Don't push how long you've been in business or, 20 years of family owned. That's all that should be there. You should be doing that. Benefits are like,
please, no matter what you do, don't say you have excellent customer service, because that should be a given.
Yeah, exactly. And I see that all the time. I see it in like paid advertising and stuff like that. People wasting money on Google AdWords saying 20 years in business, family owned. Who gives a rip? Are you giving me any kind of bonus? I mean, are you giving me any kind of discount? Are you, what kind of deal?
Will you or will you not answer the phone?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so, I mean, that can get into a whole other.
Anyway. Yeah, but those are the thought processes that you should have when you're thinking about content and what you're going to distribute into either your branded ring or your social network. And you'll get far more mileage out of that type of content than you will just talking about yourself and your business in the manner that most people seem to do.
Mm-hmm. Because everybody knows, if you're an AC company, they know they have the checklist of what you should be, right? And they can pick that up in like 2 seconds. Okay, yep. Fully licensed and insured, yep. They got a license number, okay, yep, blah, blah, blah. You don't, that should be there. It's the benefits that are going to get people to buy. When again, it goes back to when they see themselves in your product, they're going to buy from you. So when they see themselves dealing with a trustworthy HVAC guy who, has a $30 sign-up bonus for all new customers, that's a big benefit to them when nobody else is offering that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, again, I'm going to put a note that maybe we ought to, in one of our future ones for the public, go briefly into marketing messages and, how to make sure that, the message to market is actually one that's going to get people to pick up the phone and call you. Because in some cases, except for like the emergency cases, a lot of times they'll just pick up anyway. But for the other ones where it's not as urgent, there's some certain things you want to have in place that are going to help you, drive more traffic to or drive more phone calls.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I got that as a note.
All right, so this is I think we've kind of discussed this syndication thing. You know, the way to find out how to do this in more detail is, I think we've kind of been inundated with requests to do a coaching thing. So you know, we're looking at opening the doors again for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know right now that my coaching class is on hold. I've got no more room right now.
Yeah, my client load right now is pretty steep. This is more done because me and you just felt like there's a lot of misinformation out there. There are a lot of HVAC guys that I can't work with in certain markets because I'm already working with some, but that's not to say that, you know, don't want to help them out, help people out like you out. And so that being said, and being carried kind of open, you know, we're gonna look to open up the coaching doors, and you can go to HVACmarketingsecrets.com. I'll put a link down in the description here. And we're basically going to have an email opt-in there where you can put in your email and get on the waiting list. We don't really even have a timeline on when we're going to reopen the doors for it. So it's one of those things. Just check in there, get on the list, and when we do open it, we'll send you a notification. But until then, just, you know, watch these videos and implement what you're hearing. You know, do a bit of research. You know, if you hear a cool concept, hop on YouTube. There's probably somebody with a tutorial on how to do this, how to set up an IFTTT network. You know, trying to take the bull by the horns on that aspect, until you get a chance to, you know, actually see the walkthroughs and that sort of stuff.
Yes, what you said.
So on that note, yeah, pretty much we've put the final nail on that IFTTT coffin. To summarize, it's a method by which you can take one piece of content and basically syndicate it out to a bunch of different web properties in an effort to not only get you more brand exposure, but also to help build up backlinks back to your website, which will then push you up through Google and the other search engines that are out there. It's working smarter, not harder. Rather than creating 30 different pieces of content, you create one and push a button, and it goes.
That's it, man. That's it.
So we're going to sign off. Gary, as always, it was a pleasure having this hangout with you. Everybody out there, if you want to learn more about our coaching, or if you have any questions, just shoot us an email at thechrisandcarryshow@gmail.com. And again, if you want to get on the waiting list for the coaching, go to HVACmarketingsecrets.com. The link will be down in the description of this video, and we'll also probably put an annotation somewhere, or maybe on the bumper image. But either way, you'll find us. So signing off, have a great time. We'll see you next time, where we will most likely be talking about marketing metrics and figuring out if you're getting a good return on your investment. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye.